For today, as you can see over the last couple weeks, Bitcoin has been consolidating in this descending channel right here. And fundamentally, even though we have been pumping quite a lot in recent days, fundamentally nothing has really changed because we are still just trading inside this range. And the range is sitting currently from about 58K all the way up to 71K for the Bitcoin price. So as soon as we see a breakout above or below, in that case, for example, if we see the price break out above, that's when we'll actually start to see some really crazy price action, with likely the price pumping much higher. But until that time, we still simply are trading inside the range and have this as a level of resistance. And there are, of course, other resistance levels in between the current price and the breakout point from this descending channel. So I will get to that in just a second here. So zooming in on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, we can start to see these support and resistance levels. Most recently, we actually got a bounce from this level of support, which is sitting from 66K all the way down to 65,000 US dollars. So if you do see the price retrace a little bit, in that case, potentially you could see a bounce from a level within this range. And in the case that it does trade below this level, so you get confirmed candle closes below 65K, in that case, it is very likely that we trade to the next big level of support below that, which is sitting from 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. If we just get a bounce from here, or we just start trading up right now, in that case, of course, we do have this short-term resistance, which is sitting at about 67.1K. And you can see that right here perfectly as well, where the price is just trading sideways and kind of testing this level. And as soon as we do break above that level right there, then it is very likely that we go to the next big level of resistance above that, which is sitting from 68.5K all the way up to 70,000 US dollars. And once you see the price trade inside this level, especially if the RSI is in overbought territory, I will get to that in a moment as well, but you could expect to see the price kind of trade sideways here, or potentially even get a little bit of a pullback if we do reach these levels. So now right away, taking a look at that RSI momentum indicator, recently we reached overbought territories, dipped down a little bit to around the 60 level, and then reached overbought territory again. So I do think, even though it's very clear that we are having a lot of bullish momentum right now, at some point we will need to reset this RSI back to around the 50 level. And I think right now is the perfect time because we are trading inside a weekend, and typically there's just not too much volatility inside the weekend, which is great for resetting the RSI, because the way the RSI resets is either by the price just chopping around sideways, or even getting a little bit of bearish momentum. Because in the case that we are just trading sideways, the RSI will reset slowly to around this 50 level, because at 50, the price is showing neutral price action. And in the case that we get some bearish momentum, you'll see the RSI go down as well, potentially even past the 50 level, and it will go down more quickly than if we are just consolidating sideways. But whenever the RSI has reset back to around that 50 level, that's when you start to see a next big move potentially coming up. Although if we now take a look at the 1-hour time frame, you can see that we already reached that overbought territory and then actually reset the RSI to the 50 level already. And right now we are still just around that 50 level right here. And ideally what you would see here in the immediate short term is that the RSI kind of just bounces around this 50 level. So the RSI on the 4-hour time frame can then also reset back down. So then when the market opens on Monday, potentially we can then see a next big leg to the upside, especially because if we take a look at these Bitcoin ETF inflows from last week, we had net inflows every single weekday, which is a great thing to see. And they weren't small inflows either. We had hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin that was being bought by ETF investors in the last 3 days of the week. So if we open up on Monday and we see another massive inflow from these Bitcoin ETFs, in that case, likely the price will be sent higher again. And that's also when you see the RSI push to the upside once again. And on Friday, we saw yet another decently sized inflow from the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF, which typically is a net seller, selling about $200 million worth of Bitcoin every single weekday. However, this week, they have been net buyers for 3 out of the 5 days. So that is very interesting to see. And if this continues, it really leaves the door open for other Bitcoin ETFs to start buying and send the price much higher. So let's see if this trend continues next week, because of course, during the weekends, the ETFs are not trading and therefore there's no new data coming in. So whenever there is new data coming in, I will be taking a look at it in my videos. And if you do want to stay up to date with the crypto market, then I highly recommend you subscribe to my channel with notifications on so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Now taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat maps, first of all on the 3-month time frame, where recently we took out a lot of liquidity to the upside. However, there is still more liquidity left to be grabbed here at about 67.4K. All the way up to 67.6K. However, above that, there is another major level of liquidity, which is sitting at 73.9K for the Bitcoin price. And since we are in a bull market, I do think that at some point we are going to take out this level of liquidity. We just don't know exactly when it will be, but in my opinion, I do think it is quite likely that we end up taking out this level of liquidity at some point. So now taking a look at Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame. Recently we got rejected from the 0.786 Fibonacci level, after which we traded all the way below the 0.618 Fibonacci level down to the 0.5 level, where we found some support and then bounced to the upside. So currently we are trading at about 31.17. And let's take a look at the short-term support and resistance levels for ETH here, because what you can see is that recently we got a bounce from this big level of support, which also corresponds to that 0.5 Fibonacci level. And this level of support is sitting from $3,000 all the way down to $2,850, where we got a bounce from there and traded to the upside. However, as soon as we reached this level of resistance, when we got close to the level of resistance, we kind of just started chopping around sideways here. And this level of resistance is sitting from about 31.50 all the way up to 32.50 for the price of Ethereum. So in the case that we do trade above this level of resistance, then the next big level of resistance above that is the 0.618 Fibonacci level, which is sitting at 33.30. And taking a look at the RSI really quickly, you can see that on the 4-hour time frame, we actually reached into overbought territory. So we just reached into it. However, already you can start to see that the RSI is starting to correct a little bit. I do also think that it is because we are trading inside a weekend. So there is just a lot less volatility, and therefore the RSI is kind of just slowly trending down. But that is something to keep in mind, because typically when the RSI is in overbought territory or close to overbought territory, there is limited room to the upside in the price of Ethereum. So in this case, there's limited room to the upside right here. And in the case we do trade higher from here, the RSI will definitely be in overbought territory if we get a push up right now. So in that case, what you can expect is that the price will start trading sideways in this level right here, or it can just get a rejection and start trading down a little bit. So that is something to keep in mind if you are currently trading Ethereum. And lastly, for ETH, looking at this falling wedge pattern, which I have been talking about in my videos for a couple of weeks at this point. And I did say the entire way through that it is more likely to break out to the upside. So that is a very good thing to see. However, ideally, what we want to see is Ethereum break out above this level right here, which is currently sitting at about 32.25, because in that case, it is actually more clear that we are really breaking out. And this is not just some kind of fake out where we go up and then down. Now taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame. Recently, we got rejected from the 0.786 Fibonacci level, traded to the 0.5 level, but are now trading back above the 0.618 Fibonacci level with confirmed daily candle closes. Now, taking a look at this 4-hour time frame, one thing that I don't love of what I've seen so far is that we just cut right through it and we have not seen a retest of this level above it. So we haven't seen up, down, up. It doesn't have to do it. It doesn't always have to retest, but ideally it is something that you would see before the price trends up higher, unless it gets like a very sharp push to the upside, just to confirm that this is actually now a level of support. So let's take a look at the short-term support and resistance levels so we get a better idea of what we can expect in the short term here. So zooming in on the 4-hour time frame for Solana here, what we can see is that recently we got a bounce from this level right here, which is a big level of support from 150 all the way down to $140 for the price of Solana. And this has been an extremely accurate level of support in recent days. However, what we can see right now is that once we cleared through this previous high, which is sitting at about $160, as soon as we really cut through it, well, what happened is we got a retest and then traded to the upside and just cut right through this level of resistance as well. Of course, with a little bit of chop right here, but in the end, we did manage to clear this level and then got rejected from the level above it. So this previous level of resistance, since we have traded above it now, has now been flipped into a level of support. And this level of support is sitting from 172 all the way down to 167 for the price of Solana. So if we just get a little bit of a retracement here, well, in that case, we can just see a bounce from here. However, in the case that we do lose this as a level of support, we might get some short-term support right here. We might get some short-term support in this range right here, although it is more likely if we get a sharp decline, for example, in the Bitcoin price, that we trade all the way back down to this level of support that I was talking about earlier. So it is actually critical in the immediate short term here that Solana holds above the 167 level, and that is the level to watch out for in the short term here. Either way, in the case that we do just get a bounce from here, well, in that case, the next big level of resistance is sitting from 177 all the way up to $181 for the price of Solana. So we are seeing some fast moves to the upside right now. And if you want to trade any crypto with leverage and very low fees, I highly recommend you go check out MEXC, which is the crypto exchange that I use, because like I said, it has very low fees and you can get up to 200x leverage. Though, of course, if you are going to be trading with that amount of leverage, always make sure you manage your risk. So you set stop losses and stuff like that. If you do want to sign up to go check it out, I highly recommend you go to the description of today's video and sign up through this link right here, because you can get a bonus up to $1,000 US. In fact, it is USDT, and you can already start getting bonuses whenever you deposit at least $100 into your account. So I highly recommend you go check this out. Like I said, it's the exchange that I use personally. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.